Okay, so I reviewed a little bit before I started this next video, and if you hear all sorts of cackling outside, it's because, I don't know, there's like a group of girls out there laughing hysterically over something. I don't know why they're in the hallway, but they are. But anyway, so Thor came outside and saw that it was a giant. So he got the other three out of the giant's ear, and he was just about to try to strike him down, and the giant woke up. And he was huge. He was like bigger than any giant any of them had ever seen. The guy's like, "Oh, well, who are you?" And they told him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm Skrymir, and I'm just out walking. Can I go with you guys?" And so, because he was very big, and they didn't really want to upset him, they're like, "Yeah, come with us." And they all kind of detested it, but they acted like they were okay with it. So they went walking along, and then at night they decided to rest. So they lay down near a tree, all five of them now, and Thor waited until Skrymir was asleep, and then when he was asleep, he snuck up on him and took Mjolnir and bashed him on the head, and nothing happened. The Skrymir woke up, he backed off a little bit, and he was really surprised because that had never happened before. And Skrymir woke up, and he's like, "Oh, did an acorn fall on my head or something? What was that? Something hit me." And "Oh, and look, Thor, you're awake too." And Thor was like, "Yeah, I don't know what happened. Just like you, I just woke up. So let's go back to bed." So then the next morning they all got up, and they went walking a little further, and at night they slept again. And as soon as Skrymir went to sleep again, Thor woke up and bashed him on the head again with Mjolnir. And he was like, "Well, if it didn't work the first time, it'll work the second time for sure." And then nothing happened. So he backed off again, and Skrymir woke up again, and he's like, "Oh, is there like a bird up there or something? Did it crap on my head or something? What happened?" And I was like, I don't know. I just woke up too." So this happened a couple times. I don't know why. Skrymir was perfectly friendly, so I have no idea why Thor kept trying to kill him, but he did. And absolutely, there was nothing he could do to kill this guy. So, and Skrymir somehow didn't figure out that he was trying to bash his head in. So finally they went on their way, and they got to Utgard, and Skrymir was like, "Well, just so you know, you guys keep saying I'm a big guy, but the giants in there are even bigger than me, so I think the best thing for you to do would be to just go back home. But I know you're not going to, so there it is, and I'm headed north. I'm going to keep going." So they're like, "Yeah, okay, bye, nice to meet you," and they were all really happy that he was not there anymore. But then they were at Utgard, so they went in, and it was massive. Like the gates were higher than they could even really see, but they opened up and they went wandering in, and Thialfi and what's her name, Roskva, were really nervous, and Loki wasn't feeling too excited about it either, and to be honest, Thor wasn't really either, but they had come all that way, and Thor's looking around, and there are tons of giants, and Skrymir was right, they're all even bigger than he was. And Thor's, his big plan was to come in and kill everybody, and he's looking around, and they're all huge, and there are a ton of them. But they're welcomed into the main hall, and their leader's sitting there, and they're offered food and drink, and made to feel at home, but not quite, because everybody's kind of mocking them. They're looking at them and kind of laughing, like, "Who are these little guys?" And so the leader decides that, you know, no one is allowed to, well, they're brought to the leader, and they go to start to introduce themselves, and the leader's like, I've seen everything, I know who you are. And so come on in. But the only way that you can be welcomed into our hall, as we're trying to, is you've got to compete in some of our little competitions. That we like to be amused and entertained, so you have to play our little games. So they agree, and the first thing, so the leader's like, well, what can you do? And Loki comes up and he's like, well, I wasn't aware that he had this skill until he came to this place, but he says, well, I can eat faster than anyone I've ever met. I can eat really, really quickly and a lot. So I'll challenge someone to that. And the leader just kind of chuckles, and he's like, oh really? You think that you can beat my guy? Alright, so they set out this big, not trench, what is it called? Trencher, I guess. So they set out this big thing, and they fill it with all sorts of meat, and set Loki at one end, and this guy Loki, with a G, the other end, and they set them to it. So as soon as it starts, Loki's flying down the thing, and he's eating all the meat, and he's eating really, really, really fast, and he thinks that he's doing an excellent job. And everybody's going crazy and everything, and finally he meets Loki in the middle, and they've eaten just as quickly, and they went just as fast, and they meet smack dab in the middle, but Loki looks up, and while he's eaten all of the meat, Loki has eaten all of the meat, all of the bones, and the trencher itself. Everything behind him is gone. So obviously he won that little match. So Thialfi comes forward, and he's like, well, I'm really, really fast. I'm the fastest person that I've ever met, and I challenge somebody to a race. And so the leader takes his one guy, who's Hughie. He's like, all right, well, we'll have you race Hughie. He's our fastest, or he's not even our fastest. He's just an average guy. So we'll have you. He'll race you. And Thialfi's he would be insulted, except he's human and he's not as vain as everybody else. He's just excited to be able to help. So he and Hughie line up, and then, they're set off, and off they go, and they're both flying across the grass, but Hughie's just a little bit faster. He gets there just a little bit ahead of Thialfi, who was going really, really fast, but he loses. So and all the giants are laughing. They're like, well, the best 2 out of 3. Okay, we'll give you another shot. So Thialfi's all set. He goes flying after it, and he's a little bit further behind the next time. And he doesn't understand, because he's really, really fast. So they're like, well, okay, we'll let you go one more time, and if you win this time, we'll just forget the other 2 times. So he's set, and he's even further behind the guy the next time. So they all think it's really funny, except, of course, our people, and they've lost that one. Okay, next video.